Hi, this is the project we're going to do today. In this video, we're going to make this gift box. And then when you open the gift box, inside is a special card that when you pull it, it reveals a scene, and then inside is a gift card. And so let's begin. In this video today, I'm going to show you how to create this gift box using the Lawn Fawn Gift Box die set. And we will also create a card that will go inside the box. Okay, I'm going to start by cutting two of the main box pieces out of just some heavy white cardstock. And then there are these two little dies here. And how you use these is you're going to die cut the edges here to cut out the little slits like this out of the top pieces. You're only going to use these for the piece that is going to be on the top. Okay, next, these three dies here are to create the little bow. You're going to cut two of these and one each of these. And then these four items are going to be the corners of the top of the box. So you cut four of these dies. Then for the top only, these two little flaps, there's a score line here, and you're going to cut off the flaps on all four sides. So now we've got two pieces. This one will be the bottom of the box, and this will be the top of the box. All right, in this case, I'm going to want to stamp a design on the top of the box. I don't want to use die cuts for the top. I want to just stamp the design directly on. So I have some rubber stamps, which I am going to use. And for the sentiment, I'm going to use some VersaFine Onyx Black ink. Okay, and then for my little cabin stamp, I'm going to use some different water-based markers. And I'll start with some green. And now I'm using a darker green marker. And now I'll ink up the entire stamp with Memento Tuxedo Black, and I'm going to stamp it off first on a scrap piece of paper. And now I'll use a sepia color water-based marker for the cabin and part of the ground. So now we've got all the pieces that we need to assemble our box. So we'll start by folding along the score lines on the bottom portion of the box. And now we'll fold along the score lines on the top of the box. Now we'll put some adhesive on the four flaps for the bottom portion of the box, and then fold those flaps on the inside and seal the bottom. Next, we'll take the four pieces that are going to be the corners of the top of the box, and we'll fold them along the score line. And we'll put some adhesive on the bottoms of each of those corners. Now we'll put the top of the box on the bottom and hold the corners together and put the corner flaps on until we've got the top of the box, all four corners of the top of the box sealed. Now I'm going to take the bow die cut and I'm going to take a round object and start the curve of the bow. Then I'll put some glue and I will start assembling the bow. Now I'll put some glue on the little flap of the bow and fold it around, and this will complete this part of the bow. Now I'll put some glue on this part of the bow and place it on the front, and then this will complete our bow. For the two straps, I'm going to fold along the two score lines. Then I'll put some adhesive on the corner of both and on the back of one. And then I will just wrap it around the box and seal it on the back. And then I'll place the bow on the front, pull it off, and seal it down. And that completes our box. And so you can slide off the strap here. Open the box, put in whatever you're going to do. The next section of this video is we're going to make a card that is going to go inside this. So stay tuned. Okay, next I am going to stamp some various Lawn Fawn stamps onto some 80-pound Neenah Solar White. And I'm going to just fill up these pages with stamps. And the different stamp sets I used was the Tiny Christmas and Tiny Halloween, the Happy Village, Winter Village, and Ready, Set, Snow. Okay, now I'm going to take some of the small stamps from in here and stamp them into the various open spaces on these sheets. Okay, and so here I've filled in most of the open spaces with some of the smaller images. And now I will go and cut these out with my Scan and Cut. Okay, I've put my paper with the stamped images on my Scan and Cut mat. I've also put some micropore tape around the outside edge to help hold it down. And now I will load it into the machine and press the Load Mat button. Then I will press Scan, Direct Cut, and to my machine, and Start. I will press OK, and I will press OK again. I'm going to put an outline around all of them of 0.04, and I'm going to edit. Now all these extra little pieces, like this one up here, I'm going to select it and then I'll delete it. And so I'm going to come through here and delete everything that isn't one of my patterns. And so it's a little red box around the one that it's selected, and so I'm just going to go one at a time and delete everything that doesn't belong, and we'll be back. Alright, some of them it didn't do very well on, so I deleted those cut files, and then I'll just use the dies to cut those particular ones out. But the rest of this, I'm going to go ahead and let it cut. So I will select OK and OK. And when it says please select, I will select cut. And I will start. And it's going to take 11 minutes to cut this. When it's finished, we'll be back. Okay, it's finished. So I will take off all the pieces of tape and then we'll pull away the paper. Okay, I've removed all the micropore tape. And now we'll lift this off. And the few that I deleted are still on here, like the little sun. It got the sun bad, and then those, because I had stamped them off the side, those didn't do very good. But as you can see here, here are all the cut stamps. And so all I have to do is remove them from the mat and we're finished. Okay, I've started by cutting out the main die from the Flippin Awesome, along with these two ends. And what I'm going to do with this one is I'm just going to cut that top off. And I've also cut one in a contrasting color, so that this will go on the back and then the front, and then we'll glue the contrasting arrow in. Okay, and I've also cut 4 of the smaller squares from some 80-pound Neenah Solar White. And for the larger squares, I have cut out 4 out of a pattern paper that I have, a Paper Studio pattern paper that I bought from Hobby Lobby. And since these are rather thin, I've also cut a contrasting piece that will go on the back, so that when this flips, there will be a pattern on the back. And so our main scene will go on the front like this, and then as it flips, you'll see the pattern on the back. And I've also cut some 4-bar size card bases out of some heavyweight cardstock. This is approximately 5 inches by 3.5 inches. And I cut it this size because these will fit inside the gift boxes that I've made for these cards. Normally I would use the Flippin Awesome add-on, but this is just a little bit too big for a 4-bar size card. And so I've used my scan and cut to cut a slightly smaller pattern, so that my Flippin Awesome, when the Flippin Awesome is on it, it fits. And the size that I put in my scan and cut was 4.75 by 3.45. All right, now I've pre-positioned my stamped images, which I have pre-colored, and I've just kind of roughly placed them onto the white squares that I have got. And then I've got here the Copic marker colors that I used for this scene. And so these are the different designs and how I'm going to put them onto the final piece. Okay, now I'm going to ink on some sky. I'm going to start with some Distress Ink Stormy Sky. So I'm going to be inking up 4 squares, and each of the subsequent squares are going to have a lighter sky. And then for the darker skies, I'm going to ink on some chipped sapphire to make it a little darker because that's going to represent night scenes. All right, now for the grass, I'm going to start with forest moss. And then I'll do some peeled paint. Okay, and for the next panel, I'll just use some peeled paint. And then for my daytime one, I will use some mowed lawn. And then I'll also use some peeled paint. And now I'll sprinkle some clean water on it and wipe it up with my paper towel. And for the nighttime scenes, I'll use a white gel pen to add some stars. Okay, and now I will start to assemble my scene. And I'll use some liquid glue to glue everything down. Okay, so here's the scene in the order we're going to want to have them on the Flippin Awesome. So there are 4 score lines here, and so we want to fold along each of those score lines, and then we want to fold them the other way. I'm going to put some very strong adhesive. You need to have strong adhesive on these tabs. So I'm going to put some score tape. And now I'll glue each of the scene squares onto their background squares. And I'll also glue these on the backs. Okay, and this last one, actually I didn't need to glue one of these onto the back of the last one because it's going to be glued directly onto this last square, lining it up with the score line right here. All right, next I'm going to put some glue between these 2 score lines. And then the next in the scene will be this one. And I'm going to line this edge up with this score line. And now I'll put some glue between these 2 score lines. And then last, some glue between these last 2 score lines. All right, and next I will cut off this tab here so that I just have a nice straight one, along with the one with the arrow. And I want to have a contrasting arrow, so I've got a green arrow which I've cut out of some green cardstock. And now I'm going to glue those pull tabs onto the end, making sure that I've got the correct one on the top. All right, next I've taken the diagonal gift card pocket and I've cut it out in some contrasting colors, the same colors that I've been using for the card base and whatnot. And for the to and from, I've saved the little pieces here. All right, and how this works is when you fold this over, the gift card pocket will go on this side. And there are some score lines here. And so you fold them along the score line. And then it'll go on like this, and then your gift card will slide in like this. and then you put the to and from on top. And so as they pull this out, the gift card will be displayed. And I want this to be strong, so I'm going to put some score tape on it. Okay, and then I'll put the contrasting color on top here. Okay, as a spacer, I've put the outline for the O in the 2, and I have saved the inside of the red that I cut, and so I will just put that in there, and then I will remove the green spacer. And then that completes our gift card pocket, and you just slide your gift card in, and it's hidden by your main card. Alright, and then I used my Scan and Cut and some Neenah Solar White, some 80-pound Neenah Solar White, and I am going to put some Stampin' Up! Garden Green on this. Next, I'll take some Stampin' Up! Old Olive, okay, now we are going to bend these flaps back, remove the score tape, and I'll glue the backing onto one of our card bases. Okay, and then we'll fold our flaps back, and then we'll just place this in the center of our card. Okay, now one thing I noticed, I've got this too far out, so next time when I put this on, I'm going to put it on so that this part is underneath this flap, and so that way when it pulls out I can put it right back in again easily. And now we can place the card in the gift box that we made at the beginning of this video. And here's a final look at the Flippin Awesome card that was made. And if you want to make an envelope that will fit in this box, cut a piece of typing paper that's 7 by 7. Then I'm going to use my envelope punch board. And I'm going to make my first punch at 2 7/8. And so I'll set this at 2 7/8, which is right here. Then I will do my first punch and draw my score line. Then I'll turn it 90 degrees, match up the score line with the point, make a punch, and then line it up with the previous score line, line it up with the previous score line, and then that will fit the card. And so you just fold it on the score line. And then glue the flaps closed. And so you can either put the card in the envelope, or you can just place the card on top of the envelope and place it in here. And that way, if the recipient wants to re-gift the card, they'll have an envelope for it. And so this completes the video, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!